Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Philippine Sports Commission's FB live chat, our first episode for the year 2019. And we're here to talk about, of course, the Philippine Sports Commission. And we are with no less than our ama ng tahanan, our chairman, William Ramirez. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, maayong hapon, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Sir, we just finished 2018, and of course, we are coming out with our yearbook. Guys, we will post it also on our NPN website once it's published. But before that, sir, would you be so kind as to tell us kung ano po yung iniisip ninyo na naging great achievements of the agency?
For the first 3 years, my first engagement with the President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, was, he told me, when I brought Heidelin Diaz to Davao City after winning the silver medals in Olympics, he told me that make sports accessible to the periphery, to the community. Kaya nung sinabi niya yan sa akin, ang naisip ko was to review the mandate of the Philippine Sports Commission, and the vision of Philippine Sports Commission is really to make sports accessible to the community and thereby creating a healthy, vibrant community. Number two, equally important was to give also special attention to the elite sports program for pride and for honor of the flag, country, and people.
Noong 2017, i-inform ko yung ating mga viewers na 2017, na-sign po ang isa sa actually centerpiece program po ng Philippine Sports Commission at Children's Games. And that year, we reached 10,000 children. In this 2018, we reached almost 11,000 na po. Sir, ano po ang masasabi niyo about Children's Games?
When I came to the PSC for the second time, I learned that it is not easy to navigate the management and the partnership of our private partners, the national sports associations, because of their claim of independence and autonomy in technical aspect, and that POC, because they're in charge of the elite athletes, the sports for all, local government units, and the grassroots sports program of Department of Education. And for me, coming from Mindanao, there is a problem on peace and unity among people, no? The Muslims, the indigenous, and the Christians. So I really thought that having a children's games, sports for peace, can be very, very important because it is positive that if children of different cultures, religion can play together at an early age, the peacemaking and the friendship can easily be achieved. It is difficult to create friendship and unity among people who have different religion, cultures, and beliefs. So I feel that the sports for peace, the children's games, is a vital component of the Duterte administration in the realms of sports. And I was so happy that when we started having these projects in Mindanao, Visayas, and even in Ifugao, we were recognized by UNESCO. And the UNESCO officials came to us and frontally recognized, and it was so heartwarming, and it was so, I was so happy, and I called up several cabinet members in the person of Secretary Dominguez, Cabinet Secretary Vasco, and the Executive Secretary Bingbong Mijaldia, of the joy that we felt as an office of the President. So from there, if we strengthen the sports for all in the local community, we are complying the very constitution that we have, that to make sports accessible and create a healthy, vibrant community. This was the very focus of the former Prime Minister Nelson Mandela in Africa, that in those areas, very poor areas, even destitute, even in despair, sports could create a joyous environment and inspire young people, perhaps to go to school and can break the cycle of poverty. So it was on this idea that I grasped this plan of focusing children's games. And of course, it's not only sports for all. It is so important also that we can partner with DepEd because millions of young students are part of the Department of Education. And what is so important is just partner with them, invest on the teacher, coaches, invest on the program, update facilities. So I'm so happy of what's happening in this last part of 2018. So now, if we are able to strengthen, solidify the grassroots sports program, it is so important also to create also an environment of true, genuine partnership with the NSAs, the POC, because I believe that unity can be a source of performance among elite athletes in international competitions.
Last year, 2018, we had a special edition with the Children's Games. We brought the Children's Games to the children of Marawi. We were inside Marawi City. So, would you like to tell us something about that experience?
Yeah. I informed the Office of the President through the Executive Secretary Mijal Dia that the Philippine Sports Commission under the Office of the President are bringing a children's games, Sports for Peace, in Iligan, yung mga bakwit galing Marawi, and lately it was in Marawi, purposely to animate, to give a little joys to those children who were disturbed by the war, whose parents, grandparents was disturbed. Some of them died. So, in the course of our sporting activities, we come across of children disturbed by the presence of terrorism, and we feel that we have to continue this kind of engagement to the children because it can be a problem instead of seeing Philippine government doing sports program, helping them, they might be able to see other ideology in the area. So again, we should not only focus our time to Mindanao, to the areas disturbed by war, but also look at the areas like in Zambales where we have indigenous people, in Baler, Aurora, and especially in the Ifugao, in the mountain province.
Sir, picking up on what you said, we have an existing partnership with them, and last year we worked with them to come up with a sports grassroots sports development plan. Would you consider this one of the great achievements of the agency last year?
I cannot claim that it is an achievement of the chairman. It was a PSC organization, and including the DepEd organization, that really meet each other and need each other to really bring the best of the grassroots sports program. And I was so happy that Secretary Leonor Magtulis Brunes and some undersecretary who worked with us in the Palaro board was so positive about the idea, and we started already the partnership. And I'm excited that in the future we will be producing a lot of outstanding athletes that we had before, no? Lydia De Vega, Eric Buhain, Moros, and other great boxers we have, no? Na magiging membro ng elite athletes. Naniniwala ako, Malina, pag malakas yung grassroots sports program mo, malakas yung sports for all mo, malaking pool ang pupunta sa tertiary tsaka sa elite.
So ito po yung direction natin ngayon, 2019.
Yes. Actually, we were able to set a roadmap that from the sports for all activities all over the country, we have this under 15 Batang Pinoy Youth Games. No? Then from there, they will elevate to the Palarong Pambansa under 20. And these outstanding athletes after the Palaro will be confined to a summer training camp where the Philippine team under 18 years old or under 20 will be participating in the ASEAN competition, Asian and the World Youth Olympics. So if we're able to set this highway, then the elite program will have a strong pool of talent.
So ang grassroots sports na efforts natin, sir, is tied up to eventually contributing to the elite sports natin sa bansa. So magkasama po itong mga bagay na to. So meron kami isang sports development highway. Yes. Okay. So parang sir, narinig ko na to solidify and to validate what we have done, you have instructed the PSC to start organizing the National Sports Summit. Would you like to tell us about it?
The Sports Summit, instead of holding it next month, we plan to hold it on June because we do not want to hold a summit where the presentation of data is inefficient. And looking back into the 35 resolution during the first sports summit in Baguio,
1984.
yes, somewhere there. So it would be good to revisit that and find out that out of 35 resolutions on that sports summit, ilan ba ang na-realize at ilan bang hindi? So bakit? So tamang-tama lang na balikan natin yan so that in our journey, in our roadmap of grassroots sports program, elite program, in our partners with the NSA and the POC, we will be able to chart our roadmap effectively, properly, rather than a guessing game.
Yes.
Because at the moment we are blessed that we are also capable of really funding a genuine program. Because funding a grassroots sports program as experienced by other successful countries is expensive. It's expensive because you're improving the quality of life of our Filipinos in the community. Second, it's expensive when you are sending athletes abroad, the equipment, hiring good coaches. So there are people who question why spend millions of monies in sports when some of our soldiers are dying or lack equipment, when there are millions of children are hungry. But this is a part of a country, part of the United Nations to be one of them, and it's a part of nation building. Sports is a great source of value formation and character formation if properly done.
Yes. So we're actually building the character of our citizenry.
Yes,
through
I'm not
sports.
afraid to spend money of government for as long as money is properly spent and there is a return of investment. After all, the government accounting rules is guiding us. COA is supervising us. When Melin, when you invest the quality of life of our people, it is not cheap. It is expensive. And when you build a young boy, a young girl at 5 years old, 7 years old, learning about cleanliness, learning about frugality, learning about discipline, learning to follow authority, to be honest, no? The strive for excellence. These are important characters of children. Will be the component of a strong, progressive country in the future.
And part of this, sir, is our efforts to put up regional center
Yes,
country, no?
yes, for the first
Present
time.
tayo. Yes, sir.
For the first time, in spite of our handicap, where we don't have so much money, we tried our best that we cannot we cannot realize a grassroots sports program working with DepEd without a regional training center. So we hired 5 regional directors. We hired 40 sports coordinators so that these people will have enough time coordinating, engaging, thinking, planning in the countryside where children from different regions they no longer need to come to Manila, field sports to train, where they are going to inhale dirty air and cultural shock. They will be cultured shock here. So it would be good for the children from the provinces to stay there and provide coaches education, provide training. Perhaps by the time they are ready to go to a tertiary education, they can come here and enjoy in a university scholar and train at the elite athletes program.
So, speaking of training, sir, have the Philippine Sports Training Center soon. That is a good, actually, a welcome, very welcome development for everybody. Because this is not only intended for a concern, para rin po ito sa general public. So, we can
Yeah, thank you, Malin. You know, 1990, when Philippine Sports Commission law was created, it was only invested on two bureaus. One is the admin finance and the support services. There was no program to speak of. So, in USM office, we created Philippine Sports Institute where we implant the grassroots sports program in terms of talent identification, grassroots sports, coaches education, sports journalism, and many others. Uh, so with this, when Congressman Estrella, the chair of the sports committee in the House of Representatives, was able to pass a law in BICAM last December, just to be signed by the president, creating Philippine Sports Training Center. This is timely so that the program that we created as approved by the board will become the component of the Philippines Sports Training Center. So we need another deputy executive director there. So when we are gone on 2022, we are assured that the labor that we did in grassroots sports program will not be wasted.
that will be part of your business.
Our legacy. Because my performance here is I'm a public servant, so I'm paid by the people's money. So the achievement that we did is the achievement of the Filipino people. We cannot claim monopoly of that. It was an effort by Philippine Sports Commission, by the Department of Education, by the National Sports Associations, and many others. The press, the media have been helpful to us, informing the public of the development, of Philippine Sports Commission. That after 28 years, we were inspired of the failures and success to really create this roadmap of a genuine, effective grassroots sports program and have a strict policy to our partners at the sports association to really for them to unite and effect good governance and strive for excellence for the country, our flag, and our children.
Ayun. So, on top of having Rizal Memorial Sports Complex, at ang Field Sports Complex at ang ating training center sa Baguio, we will soon have the Philippine Sports Training Center. Saan ka po ito sa
Ano to? Since Congressman Estrella is from Pangasinan, I think he was able to take some initiative that this training camp will be placed in Pangasinan. And we were also exploring the possibility of sharing that one to another province, perhaps Tarlac and others. So everything is not final, but this will totally depend on our collaboration with our politicians in the Senate and the House of Representatives, especially Congressman Estrella and other congressmen who made this training center law possible.
Chairman, it will not be a complete discussion for the PSC's plans for 2019 if we do not touch on the country's hosting of the 2019 Southeast Asian Games. Syempre po, this is a big year for us aside from having so many on our plate na grassroots sports pa lang po pinag-uusapan. Syempre sa elite sports din po, napakalaking bagay na tayo ay mag-host po ng Southeast Asian Games. Would you like to give us what you're thinking about this? I'm sure marami pong tanong ang ating kababayan.
There are a lot of questions unanswered, but it's normal for a country who needs unity, a country who needs to progress, and even in the areas of sports. So the Philippines is capable of becoming champion again in the 2019 Southeast Asian Games, just like what we had in 2005.
You were also the chairman there.
Yes, I was also the chairman, so we have some little experience there. It's not easy to host. First, you have to have the resources, financial resources, to put up the structures, to rehabilitate some of the sports venue, and there are a lot of expenses, especially of the hotel and accommodation, the transportation of the 10 visiting countries. There are a lot of expenses there. But I'm sure that the Filipinos is very capable uh, achieving what we did in 205. What is important only on the part of the FISGO, leadership under Secretary Alan Cayetano and the support of the Philippine Olympic Committee and the Philippine Sports Commission, they will really look at and value the directions of the President. The President directed us that he approves the hosting, and he did not mention about being champion. He mentioned about quality implementations of the program, uh, the 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 uh, the hospitality of the Filipino people, that there will be fair and just officiating of the games, and that there will be unity for the Southeast Asian countries, and especially the unity of the Philippine archipelago for the Filipino people. That is more vital than the championship that we have been longing to be. And I captured that with the President. Even in the Olympic Games, sabi niya, hindi man tayo mayaman, pero kaya nating ipaglaban. Kung hanggang saan tayo makakarating, yun lang. Ba't ang importante, nagkaisa ang Pilipino, maayos ang pagpatakbo ng hosting. So, because there are many phases of gold mine or gold medals. It's not only measured on the medals, it's measured on the quality hospitality, on the quality organizing, on the quality hosting. So it's more of the success of the whole organization, just like what we had in the ASEAN.
Yes.
So that's still gold mine. So naka-champion nga tayo, pero hindi naman magandang ginawa natin, no? Nag-champion nga tayo, pero people were not properly fed. The dormitory is not properly organized, so transportation is not done properly. So all of this can be attributed to a good organization. So the very core of success of the 2019 Southeast Asian Game is the FISGO organization. And I'm sure that we will be there.
Yes, sir. So the focus of the PSC really is to use sports for nation building, no? Not only for SEA Games, but also in the other activities that we have. It's more on nation building and building the capacity and character.
Yes, because the Southeast Asian Game will be held in several places. Clark, Pampanga, Subic, may ilang sports din sa Batangas, then meron sa Manila. But for other areas, there will be activities going on throughout the country. So when every Filipino starting November 30, all eyes to the Southeast Asian Game. So it's all about Filipino athletes competing, the best of the Filipinos. They can see other athletes in other countries. So it can really ripple, can really create an inspiration, an appreciation of physical fitness, an appreciation of how strong, how good Filipinos are. So again, number one, number two will depend totally on the performance of the Filipino athletes. But for us, if we succeed there, as to who will be the champion, it's already a gold mine there.
Yes, sir. So, makikita po ninyo, napakarami pong plano at gagawin ngayon 2019. Sir, dahil dito, hihingaan namin kayo ng message to the men and women of the PSC. Sa dami ng gagawin nila, would you like to leave them a message?
Yeah, sa mga kasama ko sa gobyerno, sa Philippine Sports Commission, the 200-strong regular employee of the Philippine Sports Commission and the 200-strong contractual as well as very few consultant, we can work together and put on top of our mind and heart about the country's unity, the country's direction, and the beauty of the Philippine archipelago. That this is the pearl of the Orient Seas, that in spite of the travails of politics, economic concern, we can be one here and make sports a vehicle for unity, a vehicle for success, a vehicle of a strong Filipino nation.
Okay, very well said. So, ayun, may inspirasyon tayong lahat ng mga nagtatrabaho sa Philippine Sports Commission. So, let's do our best to deliver a good, not only the hosting, but all the plans of the PSC for grassroots and elite sports. And for our ambassadors in sports, ano naman po ang mensahe niyo sa kanila?
Sa mga ambassadors natin, mga dating mga atleta who made their sacrifices, homage for the country, huwag makalimot na parang naglalaro pa rin sila. Every steps of our athletes who run in a 100-meter dash, every lap that our swimmers swam, and every box, every karate, every judo, you are part of it. Let's celebrate humanity on this Southeast Asian game, and also celebrate that there will be no plastic during the Southeast Asian game. There will be sanitation, and I think a lot of values and character seen, appreciated on this area. The values manifested by our ambassadors and our every Filipino will be there will be very valuable for the success of this Southeast Asian game. And I don't want only to focus my gratitude, pasasalamat sa PSC employees, kundi sa lahat ng taga-Department of Education na kasama natin, sa lahat ng mga colleges and local government na kasama natin, at saka lalo na sa ating National Sports Association and the Philippine Olympic Committee. Kung meron man tayong mga bagay-bagay na hindi nagkakasundo, kasama yan sa ating biyahe. It's part of our journey to a better Philippines.
At sa ating magigiting na bayani, ang ating mga national athletes.
Yes, lalo na sa kanila.
Opo. Ayan. So, as the head of the government's sole authority on amateur sports, sir, what would you tell our people? I mean, what would be the promise of the PSC to our people, the Filipinos?
Well, I cannot promise, but the 3 years that have passed, what we did was crafting a roadmap for grassroots sports program. We worked together with local government units, the schools, and the people around. And we did a lot of engagement with the National Sports Association. All I can say is we have to look at the youth, at the Filipino youth as the future of this country. At huwag natin kalimutan yung bayan, yung flag, where we represent. So at yung pagmamahal sa inang bayan. After all, what we are doing is not about myself, yourself. It's about the whole country. That's why when we try to organize a hosting of the Southeast Asian Game, it's about the Filipino people in every barangay, every town, every city, every province, and every region can come into one in celebrating the Southeast Asian Games in November 30 to December 15. So sa mga kapatid kong Pilipino, please join us in the 2019 Southeast Asian Game on November 30 to December 15. Let's celebrate humanity, friendship, and understanding, especially on unity of the Philippines.
Okay, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, what we're looking forward to 2019 here at the Philippine Sports Commission. Thank you, Chairman Ramirez, for gracing our small talk show on the FB, and we are hoping that all those who listened today, you were inspired to do more, not only in sports, but also as an individual, as a Filipino, for our inang bayan. Okay, so salamat po. This is our first episode for 2019, and this has been your PSC Chatroom. Thank you.
I am sports positive.